I got the motor pulled out. Everything disconnected, handlebars are off. So I'll probably reuse them. I guess now I clean her up and start cutting her. I also need to get the gas tank and seat off. But I mean, that's progress for today. I just use a little pick. There's really no way you can fuck it up too bad, but just be easy on it and it'll pop out. And then you there's a key in this, so you might need it. Keep it. I'm just gonna grind some of these rivets off to get this handlebar out of the way for now. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do here is separate the tunnel and the track so they're two separate pieces. There's a bolt here as well as on the other side that you pop out, and then there's one in the front that you pop out, and that'll loosen the whole back, right? And then you gotta come up front here where this main drive shaft deal is, and you're gonna wanna unbolt those. Alright, we're halfway through separating the track from the tunnel. That's where all your weight's at, right there. Just for reference, it sets in there just like that. Boom. Inside of the tunnel. Boom. Just buzz those off. With a little casing over it, this guy here. I'll go ahead and undo that. Then you'll come around to the other side. This guy will be in here, like so. And there'll be a bolt in the middle unscrew that bolt. Before you take the chain, you got this bolt coming out here. You're gonna have to, it's just for the tensioner wheel, but you're gonna have to loosen that a little bit. Once that comes out, you just shake the shaft a little bit and push it through, and that'll allow you to then screw in the middle there. You undo the screw, loosen the tensioner on the wheel, pull it out, wiggle and push that shaft, and it'll pop out, which then will allow you to take your track off. And then what I'll go ahead and do is put all that back together just so I don't lose anything. Can't remember where everything goes. Alright guys. Figure we're at a good stopping point for the day. Still need to come through and cut a lot of this out so I can expose that track some. Need to finish cutting, should I say, these side runners. But yeah, slowly but surely on the Tracksled. Alright guys, so we're doing some more cutting. I'm at the front here, cutting some to expose that track some. Probably gonna bring it down, I don't know, to about where it's cut at, and then come over with it. I might open these edges up some more, but I'm not sure. Alright guys, we're almost done getting this front end exposed so the track can just eat away that snow. Still got this piece to go. But yeah, it's looking pretty good for my first Tracksled build, I must say. Alright guys, so I'm going to start taking the suspension off of this guy here. I'm going to start by taking off this here rear suspension. And I'm just going to unscrew both these here bolts. They might be under a little pressure, so just kind of shield yourself or watch your face, however you want to do that. Alright, so there's your springs. You're going to want to get those off. There's that side. It's free. Now we're going to have to come around and take this side out, and I think so we're still working on this suspension here. On the rear, we're gonna go ahead and unbolt it here, and then we're gonna unbolt this piece up here. Shouldn't have no more tension in it, and then we can take out the rear suspension. So buzz that out and buzz that out. Alright, so let's just pop that out. Alright, it's free down there. And then again, we'll just buzz this out real quick. I ain't going to show you that because I'm one-handed and my battery's low, but I will be right back with you. Alright, so just like that, rear suspension comes off. Then I go ahead and flipped it. This is your front suspension here. And I'm going to go ahead and unscrew this. I don't know if this one's going to be under pressure or not. So just kind of watch yourself. Ran into a weird problem backing that suspension bolt out. And I don't want to really mess up the wheel. So I moved down here. We're going to go ahead and, we're at the front, have it upside down. We're going to try to pop that out. Yeah, that wasn't that bad. That wasn't that bad, guys. Alright, so bottom's done. I mean, I should say the top of the very front. Now we're going to go ahead and try to figure out what we got to do to get this back one off this back of the top suspension. So we'll be back. Alright guys, so this is kind of funky. I did go ahead and get that suspension off of there, but if you're using this model, you might run into the problem of this bolt not wanting to back all the way out for you to get it. I bent it. When I say bent it, I mean the, you know, the little brace that the screw goes through, or the bolt goes through. And I'm just going to keep the bolt in there for now and see if I can kind of maneuver this piece of steel piping in there. You know what I mean? Cut to size. I'm just trying to figure out how I'll go about getting that in there without cutting the screw, and then I'll have to figure out how I'm going to get a new screw in there. Bend that back maybe. Keep the screw in. Bend it back so it's further up. I'm not quite sure, but it's going to involve some bending. But anyways, I'm just going to leave that screw in there now until I get these pipes cut to size and drilled out, so I can see kind of what I'm going to do to get that in. But yeah, suspension's almost ready to lock in. Guys, it's the next day, back at it again on the Tracksled. I'll show you how I'm going to lock up the suspension. I actually got this idea from Shandon Bradford Outdoors, so shout out to him. This is a pretty simple, quick, and effective idea. So what we did here is we cut a piece of pipe to length. It's not cut to exact length yet, and we replaced it with the front suspension. And once you figure out, you know, how high or low you want your machine to ride, you'll cut it and then bolt it to place. For the back, this will be bolted in here, and the whole thing will have different notches for different sizes, for different heights. So again, you'll bolt there if you want to kind of have them bottomed out all the way low, suspension locked. If that's not working out, you can go up 1, 2, all the way to the very top of where it would sit. So suspension's going to be locked in. We'll go ahead and bolt that up, measure, probably go, I don't know, about 3.75 inches on each side. That way it's still pretty low to the ground, but not all the way. So yeah, we'll get that done and we will be back to you in a minute. Alright guys, got this part of the suspension locked in. Still got to tighten down the bolts. Probably put some Loctite on them. And yeah, that should be good. It's about 3.75 inches, or 3.75 inches from this bar here to that bar. Raised it up. So now we'll do the same to this side. What I'm going to do is I put a level on the wheel there that's raised, the wheels, and I'm going to just raise this side until it's pretty much level, maybe a little higher, the front, but not much, pretty much level, and I'm going to call it good and see how it goes. So yeah, just, you know, raise your front suspension until you're about level. See what I mean? I'm going to go a little bit higher, so maybe like right there. Sweet. I'm going to bolt her in. Guys, we're all measured out on front, locked in, and ready to roll. We're going to get the tunnel painted and then put it all back together and start getting things going. So yeah, sweet. Alright guys, so what we're doing today, and this is just what I'm doing, it's not necessary really at all, but I'm going to go ahead and use the heat gun here and just go along this here decal deal until it starts to lift up. I already did the other side. That way I can just clean it up and lay some paint or bed liner on it. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get that done. We'll heat up these lights a little bit just so we can pop those off. And probably reuse those reflectors actually. But yeah, get back at you guys. What I'm doing to get these side reflectors off, and again, the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm going to paint it and just put them back on with some more tape. But just warm it up with the heat gun. I'm just going to pry at it. And it'll come right off. Boom, then you just clean it up, clean up the back, you can reuse it. Same thing with these decals on the side. I'm just getting them nice and hot and peeling them along. If you're lucky, you won't have any tears like that. That's going to make for a little bit more of a tedious process. But like I said, I'm only doing this because I'm going to prep and paint. And I really don't think that's even necessary, but alright, we got her up. She's been soaking in some degreaser for a little bit. I like using this Ecolab stuff. Works actually really good. But yeah, it's been soaking, so we're gonna go ahead and hit it up with the power washer. Alright guys, she's nice and clean, actually really nice and clean. I should have done a before and after video because it turned out really nice. I might keep everything except the tunnel and the case black. I don't even know if I need to keep the case. But brakes. The braking system on here. I'm gonna pull it off. There's two studs that go through it to the back. You're gonna want to take those off. And there's a spacer behind the bolt bracket here with the 2 bolts, well 4 bolts. Also keeps you from pulling it out. So you're gonna want to remove those as well. Guys, so I removed those and it looks like the brake pads themselves are still holding it against the wheel. So you're gonna have to remove those. And I'm thinking it's just gonna be removing that clip and removing that clip. I don't want to lose those just in case I need them later. So let me, yeah, it's just a retaining pin. You pop both of those off, right? The pin there behind it, the black pin, should pull out. And you actually don't even have to remove both clips, guys. If you just remove the 2 or the 1, whatever side, it'll slide off and the brake will come off. So yeah, there's that. I set it aside, put it back together just in case, you know, you never know. Alright guys, so before I forget, we're going to go ahead and measure the diameter here of this jack shaft. I'm going to go ahead and use it and put my sprocket on it, so I just want to make sure we're good. It looks like we got about an inch here, so let's go ahead and get the grinder and smooth out these edges so they're not so sharp. I've mixed it to the first coat there, giving it about a second coat here in a minute. She's looking good after the first coat, y'all. Looking real good after the first coat. She's a whole different machine now. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and give this thing a second coat and call it good. Right? Here? Why do you do it? Okay. I'll take it in the yeah, this right. Second coat done. Feeling a little floaty, but we got the job done. Me and old Cuzzo. Looking pretty new, isn't it, boys and girls? Nice sand job from old Cuzzo. The old bed liner turned out nice. Did most of the old jack shaft. So, yeah. Might hit it with a third and final coat just because I got about that much left. So, looking good. So here we are, 3 coats in, and this bed liner looks really good on here. It laid down nice. Didn't have to primer it, anything like that. I did use a bed liner that has primer in it, so this here is actually what I use, this Rust-Oleum Truck Bed Pro Grade. So yeah, worked out really good. 3 coats on there, and we're going to go ahead and let it dry and then probably cure for a day or two. You know, 72 hours it's set on there, but it's a little cooler. So we'll wait a little longer, and then we'll go ahead and start putting her back on the carrier, and then get the tracking. So yeah, all the masking off of her. Everything spins free, and she's looking stellar. Just gonna let her dry and cure, and then we will we'll get her back on the carrier, and then get the track back on. So yeah. Just an FYI, there's these bushings on the back. Make sure you don't lose them if you take the tunnel apart. They pretty much just pinch everything together. Bushing number 1, outside of the wheel, pinching it in. Bushing number 2, outside of the wheel, pinching it in. Alright guys, so what we're doing here is just increasing pretty much this keyhole so that the sprocket can be locked in closer to the tunnel. See, the key shaft stopped about right there, and we're just going to go ahead and continue to increase it with a Dremel tool and an angle grinder until we can get it in about, I don't know, locked in about there, and then have the key itself that we kept from earlier, thank goodness, locked in and sticking out about where that's at. So we're getting there. We're getting there. Progress so far. It stopped about, I don't know, right there. I guess you'd call keyhole. So I've just continued to open it. I'm going to open it until I can get the key locked in. About right there. Extended this entry on the keyway here so that we could bring the sprocket closer to the actual sled. That way the motor doesn't have to lean off too far off the side of the sled, or at all even. It works out because this chain case is pretty heavy anyways itself, so it'll about even it out. So yeah, got that done, got it locked in. Gonna mock some stuff up here and then get the torque converter put on the motor. But we're getting somewhere. It's actually looking like a track sled now. Alright guys, so the hardware that comes with the torque converter are metric, so you're going to want to go to your local hardware store and get 4 of these mounting bolts in standard, as well as one of the shaft screws in standard. These are your mounting bolts. The correct size and thread for these is going to be 5/16 24 TPI, and you're going to want them 1 inch long. This is your main shaft bolt. The correct size and thread on this is 5/16 24 TPI, and you're going to want it 2 inches long. We're putting the torque converter onto the motor here. First thing you're going to do is just use your bolts that you went and picked up and mount it to the actual motor from the 4 holes you're looking at. And then once I get that done, we'll get back to you on what else to do. You have your torque converter bolted to your Predator motor here. You're going to want to take the entire thing back apart. And if you're using a 40 chain, remember, if you're using a 40 chain, this is how you do it. You're going to put the keyed washer on first, along with the key. Then you're going to go in with your 10-tooth sprocket. That's keyed as well. That goes on next. You got your sprocket on. Behind your sprocket, like I said, is your keyed washer. Then you're going to put your actual torque converter on. These are all keyed. And then you're going to put your normal washer on. And then you're going to go in with your bolt. Alright, so once you get that side of your torque converter all together and you get this bolt on here, you're going to want to tighten it down. Not all the way, because you still want this to spin freely. But you don't want to have all that play. if that makes any sense. So just tighten it down to where it's, you know, like I said, spins freely, but you don't have a bunch of play. So as you can see, I no longer have any play in it, but it still spins quite freely. So it's my first time doing this, but I'm going to guess that's a go. So we're going to move on to the back part of the motor here now in the torque converter. The first thing you slide on here is going to be just a normal washer. The next thing you're going to slide on is going to be here, this spacer. After the spacer, you're going to put on this backstop of your torque converter. All this is keyed. Of course, we don't want it on. And then after you get that back plate on, you're going to go ahead and put this copper band over it. So after you get that little guy on there, you want to make sure that's on there, because if you don't have that on, that's for your belt to idle and spin. So after that, I'm going to go on ahead and put the belt on. Mine actually has a label on it that says 2 engine. So we're going to go strap it around there and then work it around here like so, I believe. And then we'll go ahead with the back part of your, or the front part of your torque converter here. And this is keyed as well. Okay. And then after that, you're going to come in with, I guess this is like a spacer to lock everything up. It's keyed as well. I believe you'll come in like that. And then I close everything up. And then once you get that hand tight, you don't want to cross thread these, so make sure it's hand tight. And then what I would do is put your ratchet on there and just bash it with a hammer a few times, or just get that sucker really nice and tight. And that's it. I went ahead and set the motor up on top of the mount here. Mocked everything up to where the chain will line up just perfect, with it sitting right like so. So I went ahead and tack welded just in a few spots, that way it's solid. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead, we'll get the motor on there, get the chain on there. But let's finish up some welds first. Got the chain cut to length. And mocked up. Still got to get a tensioner on there once I mount the motor. The motor's just kind of chilling on there now. Got everything all welded up. Probably gonna take it all apart and give it a good paint job once I make sure everything's running and sitting and in place, you know, where I want it. But yeah. And then I got it to where I got my motor mount has slots, it's slotted, so I can push it back to tighten up or to loosen the chain if I need to get it off. So I'm going to go ahead and get that all straightened out, set well, and then we will bolt the actual motor down, tighten it up, and then we'll start it and see if she moves. Alright, so I got my hitch done. It's just an all hinge. I cut it down, filled in the holes, added another hole there, underside, so that this has pivot. Of course, this will have pivot as well. Yeah, so just putting everything back together now. She needs a few touch-ups, but she's looking good. Got this here oil drain hose. That way, when it's time to drain oil, I can just put this to the side. I'll find a place for that later. Like I said, needs some touch-ups, but handlebars are in. Got to put the throttle back on. Throttle cable. Got the kill switch there. Just got to get everything in place. Got the hitch ready. And then I'm waiting on some grips just to make it a little bit less cold, I guess. Try out the Tracksled here. Do our first test run. Come in. We'll go ahead and fire her up. Tracksled the hitch. Go ahead and show them.